Today is the first episode of Truth Behind the Lies. And I got some interesting questions that was asked to me that um they wanted me to present to my new YouTube podcast. So I ain't gonna waste no time. I'm gonna get right into it, and I'm gonna answer the questions to the best of my ability based on my perception of how I see it. You know, everybody else's perception could be different, and how you view it or the way you would have answered it could have been different. But I'm gonna answer it from my point of view to help certain women out there understand males' way of thinking a little bit. So the first question that was asked to me is, why is it hard for men to show emotions? Uh, I feel as though it's hard for a lot of men to show emotions because some men wasn't never really taught to embrace themselves at a young age. Cause you know, as a kid, you might get into a lot of shit, and you might get whoopings behind it, or you might have got in trouble in school, and it might have not really been your fault. It could have been the teacher's fault. So your mom disciplined you and never really gave you the opportunity to explain yourself. A lot of that stuff affects you in the long run of being able to express yourself. So, and most times you will close out, you will shut down, uh, just don't want to speak to nobody. Or you could have been in a situation where um, you was hurt before. You know, you fell in love with somebody, you gave that person a lot of you, and it backfired. So, you know, you don't feel comfortable expressing yourself anymore because the type of backlash that you got from it the first time that you actually did it, or even the second time that you actually did it, you found yourself being hurt or misled. So you choose not to show your emotions. It could be a variety of things on why certain men or certain teenagers or certain young men or young boys don't actually know how to express themselves when dealing with a female. Some dudes might be too scared to. Some dudes might not actually know how to. So you know, it could be a variety of different things of why that male can express his emotions to you. Um, Another question was, why are men thirsty for a lot of women when they can have the right one right in their face? Okay, that's another thing that could vary. That could be a variety of reasons. Um, a lot of dudes chase a lot of females for the thrill. You know, of just having a different girl or dealing with a different person, a different personality. Or it can just be that dude not really interested in you. You know, a lot of dudes might talk to multiple different females because they're actually trying to find that right one. And vice versa for females. It don't be as many as how males would talk. Like a male could probably talk to, probably like 5, 6 females. Certain females do the same thing. Like it's not really categorized on male or female. You know, a lot of anybody, male, female, y'all talk to multiple different people because y'all trying to figure it out. And a lot of people in this generation, they say, I don't want to drop all my hoes just for one hoe. You know what I'm saying? That's just the reference that you use far as hoe. Probably not a hoe, but that's the reference that you use. But not everybody is going to drop everybody that they dealing with or whoever that they talking to just for this particular person because, it might be scared of the risk that comes with this. You know what I'm saying? Not every situation that you in, the risk is worth the award. So that can be a different reasons on why um, a male chase mad different females, or it can be like dude got commitment issues, so he it's hard for him to just commit to one person, so he chooses to commit to multiple situations, and you find yourself being on the bad end of it because you as a female you might have caught feelings for this person and he dealing with multiple different people and it's hard for him to commit to you because he got commitment issues. So that can that can be a particular reason. Hopefully, I answered somebody's question out there, but that can be a reason behind why whoever that you're dealing with is facing the challenges of dealing with multiple different females because they might got commitment issues. Another question she told me to ask was, why is love such a challenge? That's that's something for me too. Like I want to ask, a lot of females like, why is love such a challenge? And I'm not talking about like puppy love or I like you type love. I'm talking about actual love. Why is love such a challenge? For me, I feel as though love is very challenging for the simple fact that it's so hard to fall in love and find love in this generation. Like, you deal with multiple different personalities. You know what I'm saying? And it's like a lot of people had the same red flags as the person that you dealt with previously. So it'll create a hazardous for you. So you don't really know if this person is for you. You think that person might be for you, but you don't know if that person is for you for the simple fact that your curiosity won't allow you to take a leap of faith because the place that you was in, as far as when you was in pain, reminds you that you don't want to go there again. So I feel as though from that point, love is challenging for me because it's for me. I'm scared to take that chance. I'm scared to take that risk. Just falling in love and actually being in love because I've been in situations where I love somebody and it backfired. Like I'm the type of person like I don't fall in love immediately or I don't fall in love easy. I don't feel as though you should fall in love easy. I feel as though love is a process, So I don't fall in love easy. So when I do fall in love, I fall hard for the simple fact that that's I'm very passionate about it. Like at a young age, I was taught how to love a woman just on the strength of the perception of how my dad loved my mom. He was a father and he was a boyfriend slash husband. He took care of home. He went to work. He provided for us. So I saw the foundation of what love was like, what it was built on. Like they had they difficulties and they had their situations. I mean, what relationship don't? But for the most part, I saw the beauty of it, which was the foundation of what love is and how a man is supposed to treat a woman and treat his kids and making sacrifices. My mom did some things and my dad did some things, but she made sacrifices just as well as he made sacrifices. But the sacrifices I saw him make was, she did a lot of stuff where it was some crazy shit, and he stuck around based on he didn't want his family to be broken up. He didn't want his boys to see what it was like to grow up in separate households. He wanted his kids to see what it was like to actually work it out and fight through whatever it is that you're going through and build on that. So that's my perception of love. That's why I love so hard and love the way I do because the way that I saw my dad love my mom. So again, I say love is challenging for me for the simple fact that the pain that I went through. None, and I'm not saying like I'm not sitting here playing a victim or nothing like that. Like I was a person who gave pain as well. But I'm just talking about from why love is challenging for me, and and you can sit down and think to yourself why love is challenging for you based on what your upbringing was or what you chose to deal with in your previous relationships. That's probably why love is so challenging for you because you scared of falling back into that painful mindset or that dark hole that you once was in when you was actually in love. Another question was why is it hard for men to commit? I mean that fall hand in hand to what I was talking about earlier on why men deal with multiple different women. But just particular on if a man dealing with just one person, we just talking about one party here, not multiple women. I feel as though it's hard for certain men to commit because based on their past, it could be. I mean, it's stages to this. So if we're talking about a person that's hurt, we're gonna talk about why it's hard for them to commit. It's other stages of it as well. We can get into that, but why is it hard for a hurt man to commit? Based on because of what he been through before him being hurt. We're gonna talk about me again. It was always hard for me to commit in certain relationships because my mom. Like when you as during your upbringing, male and female, your first person that you love is your parents. You see everything that they do. You know what I'm saying? You analyze everything you do. You mimic everything they do. So it's like from a male standpoint, I saw how my dad loved my mom. But from a female standpoint, I never saw how a woman loved a man. You know what I'm saying? Like, my mom did a lot of things out of, drinking and so on and so forth. So she acted out differently. So me as a young boy seeing that, that's the type of love that I saw, and that wasn't really love. So I didn't really, my whole judgment of how a woman is supposed to love a man was always cloudy, because I never really understood how a woman was supposed to love a man. And then it's like when I finally got into my first real relationship, when I was like, I guess you could call it a real relationship, but yeah, other people might not call it a real relationship. But when I was 14, my first love, like, we loved each other. You feel me? Like, especially from my point of view, like, I loved her a lot for the simple fact that I saw how my dad loved my mom. So I thought you was supposed to just love hard. You know, just go right in, just dive in, just love, and, you know, go through your little stages of love, and, have adult sex and all that, live an adult life, but as a young teenager, because I saw this growing up. Of course, I didn't actually see my parents having sex, but I heard it, so I kind of the curiosity of what that is. So eventually, I started to learn about sex, but of course, I thought that was another way of sharing love with your significant other was, having passionate sex along with being in love and sharing emotional connection. So, our situation was, it was different, because my first wasn't, she's a good woman, of course, but we all make mistakes, of course, but she didn't love me how I wanted to be loved. I loved her to death, but it wasn't reciprocated back. She did a lot of cheating. I was a big ass baby, I guess you can say, and I was sticking around and so hurt and wondering why she kept cheating on me and asking her why she kept cheating on me. So I was just basically putting a band-aid over a wound constantly every time she did something. And it was like a domino effect for later on down the life and other relationships that I dealt with. Eventually, when she was ready to fall in love and commit to me, I was at a point where I had lost my father, and it was just like, nah. I was so hurt, and, I ended up cheating. We both was wrong. What I'm saying? I'm not saying pointing the fingers at nobody. I'm just saying how my perception of everything came about. But I was at a point where I was over the situation now. I was ready to move on. So it was just a domino effect later on down my life, because I carried that pain, and I carried that image of not wanting to be in that place. So it was always like I'm going to hurt somebody before they hurt me, because I don't want to be in this place again. So that was to answer that on why is it hard for men to commit. It could be from, the first bitter taste of pain that he had tasted, and it's like he's scared to commit now because he don't want to be back into that situation. So that's why it's hard for a hurt man to commit. But if we're talking about another stage of why it's hard for another man to commit, certain men just want to be players. They don't want to be submissive. It's hard for certain men to be submissive in relationships. You know what I mean? Because they want to be so dominant, independent, so they don't want to really just be like, all right, I'm committing. You know what I'm saying? Without feeling like they losing their manhood. Like, you committing don't make you less of a man, committing to a woman. That don't make you lose your manhood. That don't make you seem less macho or anything like that. You're committing to somebody that you actually in love with. But it's like this generation and the way certain people was brought up, they never saw commitment in their household, or they never was around committed men that was in relationships, that was never around marriage or anything like that. So it's hard for them to commit because they was never taught to commit. They might have just been taught to deal with multiple different females, because they might have saw their mom dealing with different niggas coming in and out the house. So in their mind, they feel as though that's okay. Or they might have saw their dad dealing with different females coming out the house, or their dad might have treated their mom a certain type of way. Like, they might know that it's wrong, but if you see something so much, it becomes your way of thinking and your way of living without you even realizing that you actually doing it, because it's like at a young age you was programmed. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of hard to deprogram yourself in certain situations, because that became your way of thinking because you saw it so much. You know what I'm saying? It's like hearing something so much you eventually start to say it, like how girls be saying period, or how certain girls be playing in their hair and sticking their tongue out in certain videos. When you see something so much, or people do certain stuff so much around you, you learn it becomes a habit of yours. You know what I'm saying? Without you even knowing it, because you can possibly be like, yo, I hate that shit. But it becomes your way of thinking and